Hello everyone and welcome back to Mediak. So my girlfriend G and I are going through the Bridgerton series right now. And I've enjoyed the first 2 seasons, but I didn't exactly feel the need to make a video on them. However, if you've seen the title and thumbnail, then you know that I think differently about Queen Charlotte. Now, I don't plan for this video to be very long. I'm mainly making it because after finishing Queen Charlotte, I've gained a very strong and controversial opinion. This being that I think all Bridgerton newcomers, Bridgerton virgins, those who have never seen Bridgerton, I think they all should start with Queen Charlotte. Now, let me explain. But first, I would like to talk about my favorite and least favorite parts about the show. This probably was my favorite season of Bridgerton. I think the side stories in the season are the best part of it. I know the show is about the love stories, but for the most part, I think those are the worst plot points. I think Queen Charlotte does the love stories the best, but that's part of why I think you should watch it first, so I'll go deeper into that later. The sub-stories in this miniseries actually said something. The first 2 seasons of Bridgerton mainly focus on the politics within the show and how it impacts the social interactions with each character. I love this, but it doesn't really leave much of a message for the audience. In Queen Charlotte, there is the plot point of The Great Experiment, which covers the topic of the race war in England at the time. And I figured they were never going to address it at all. I figured that the world of Bridgerton just existed in a nearly non-racial society. I'm happy the topic was addressed in an impactful way. Lady Danbury is a standout character in all 3 seasons I've seen, so it's no surprise that she is the one to take charge during the Great Experiment. She is a queen in my heart, and I loved her story, and every part of her journey really felt real. Since her story is connected to Lady Danbury, I'll talk about Violet or Lady Bridgerton next. I thought her story in the present was kind of comical, and I loved how after she found out Danbury's secret, she wasn't actually mad. It would have been cliche for her to have gotten upset, but she acknowledged her dad, and Lady Danbury's positions and accepted the new information. If it's not obvious, I'm trying to be as spoiler-free as possible. The most standout part of the show is the young actors were unbelievably amazing. Sometimes I genuinely forgot they were actors due to how similarly they acted. Fantastic job, all of them. I'm going to give one last compliment before I say an issue I have with the show, and then I'll give my argument. The end of the season made me cry. It was so beautiful and strong. I look at the Queen with a much higher light now. Please watch the show. The end is worth it. Alright, episode 5 was really bad. Alright, that's a lie. The doctor plotline in episode 5 was bad. Every side point in the show is consistently good, and that stands in that episode. But I hate everything the king and the doctor were doing. I have a question for those who have seen the show and disagree with my opinion. What was the doctor's motivation? He might want to take control over the king, but he never says it. And it's not like he's giving him orders to give to Parliament. He just does the thing that he does and then does nothing with it. And George is consistently shown to be well above average intelligence. And in episode 4, he knows the doctor is bad. And I thought that was that. He goes back. All right, fine. A slip up is fine. But he eventually should know better. He shouldn't have needed to been saved because he is smarter than that. This isn't like a huge issue, but I wasn't a fan of the Doctor really at all. Okay, now for what you've all been waiting for. Queen Charlotte is the best written season of Bridgerton. This isn't to discredit the other seasons, because I love how they are written, but Queen Charlotte is just different. Their relationship felt the most real in this season, and if you went into the series without watching Bridgerton, you would feel like the Queen. You would be confused as to why the king is missing, and then once she finds his observatory, it would feel as though the issue kind of was solved. And then the scene at the end of episode 3 would feel way more twisty. If you haven't seen Bridgerton and don't know about the real King George, then episode 3 and 4 will have such a large impact on the viewer. I still felt for him, but since I watched Bridgerton, I knew what the problem was, so I just was waiting for the reveal, opposed to attempting to figure out what the problem was along with the Queen. Now, to oppose this argument, my mom and G claim that it will spoil Bridgerton, and I think I disagree with this. I tried to write down every moment where Bridgerton gets spoiled, and I think there's 2 major points. This being the 2 babies in that one scene. Again, I'm trying to avoid spoiling people myself. And when Lady Danbury says that Lady Bridgerton has 2 children get married. I don't really think these are spoilers because there's no way for the audience to get information enough to figure out what this all means. Like, if you don't know whose children they are, they're just random babies. You don't even see their parents in the show at all. And the whole series is called Bridgerton, and it's a love story. So if you didn't expect at least 1 marriage per season, then I think that's your fault. So we established that watching Queen Charlotte first won't spoil Bridgerton, and if I haven't convinced you that this is the optimal viewing experience, then I have one more point. The characters showcased in Queen Charlotte were characters that I either didn't really like or didn't really have opinions of before starting the spinoff. Except for Violet. I always like Lady Bridgerton. I now love each of them and will pay way more attention to them in the future, like Brimsley. I didn't even know he existed before Queen Charlotte, and I guarantee I missed out on a lot in the first 2 seasons because of it. Speaking of him, I quite enjoyed his story in the season. Brimsley deserves the best. Okay, I'm done rambling now. No worries if you watched it in the correct order, because that's how I did. This is just a thought that I had, and I wanted to shoot it out to the world. I hope you had a great day, and if you watched Queen Charlotte first, let me know what your experience was. All right. Bye, friends. Please subscribe.